Right then, we're back again. The Hodling Room podcast. I am TC. We've got Mike here as well. How are we doing?
Good. How are you, TC?
Very good indeed.
I saw your video actually yesterday. Did you uploaded one yesterday, didn't you?
The last one.
To do with the ID.
Yeah. Yeah. How much Bitcoin would you need to,
Yeah,
start again?
I thought that was good. I thought that was interesting. Why did you say? So you said probably one. Is that like per person, or if you had a family, would it be different? Or I wanted to ask questions when you were saying that. I was like, it's interesting.
I think, it depends what your plan is. If you see these things incoming, I've been thinking as well today, because I've been looking into things like privacy tech and freedom tech and all this kind of stuff. And once upon a time, my plan, like during COVID times, where they said, "Oh, you have to do this and this, otherwise you can never work again." Like that whole narrative was around in 2020 as well and 21. At the time, I was like, "Oh well, I'll just go and like live off grid in whatever, a caravan. I'm just going to leave everything and do that. That would be my solution." And I actually met a couple of people that were doing that, and that was an interesting time. Went to this kind of talk in Birmingham, and full of I don't know what you call them, like truth seeking people. Like they would have like a monthly meetup where they'd get people to do talks and presentations, and then they'd just hang out and you just meet people, kind of like local Bitcoin meetups, but people that were kind of not liking the whole COVID thing at the time. And I ended up hanging out with a couple of people, went down with a mate of mine, and they'd basically set up, they were living in an old like shipping container that was an office that was on somebody's land that they knew, that was like a tree. It was like a they grew trees or something like this. Like this land was being used to like harvest trees. I don't know what the word is, but they'd grow trees and then they'd grow them for like a few years, then harvest them. That was the thing. And there was an old office on there which was in a shipping container. And the guys that's land it wasn't using it. He says, "Oh, you can just live in there." So they converted this into a house, and they had like solar powered everything. They had like bed inside, little camp stove, a little greenhouse, chickens. They had a camper van there with solar panels. It was completely like fully off grid. And the woman, she worked in a shop down the street just for like cash in hand. And the guy was a mechanic and he worked at a local garage. And they were basically trying to live as like privately as possible. And I was like, yeah, this is probably going to be the way. And for a while I was like, that's the only way. But now, since I've been looking into Bitcoin and stuff, I've been looking into stuff like, quote unquote, freedom tech and privacy tech. Have you looked into Graphene OS, like that thing, that operating system for your phone, that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
So
I think it was you that told me about this, actually.
Really? Yeah. Like I'm only just looking into it now, but you can still be connected. You can still have the tech. You can still have a phone, but you're just a lot more private. And, things like, using a VPN and all that kind of stuff, there are tools that are out there that you can use to still kind of live a normal life, but you just don't have to use the products that are given to us. So I'm trying to figure that out, because I don't particularly want to go and live in. If I had the skills to live in the middle of the woods, but knowing me, I wouldn't survive. I'd just be dead within like two days. So. So I'm looking into that a little bit more. But going back to your question of, how much Bitcoin does it take to just like up sticks? Yeah, I reckon one Bitcoin would be a good start.
Would that be living anywhere, or would you have to move country, do you think? Or
I don't know. Some people are talking about moving country. Some people are on about, staying, and there was a guy that commented on the video who's like, oh, you shouldn't be thinking about moving, you should be staying and fighting. And I don't know, it's just one of those things that I'm not it's just it's a thought that I've got at the minute. I'm thinking, are things gonna pick up, or are things just gonna continue to descend? Like, is the stranglehold, is the totalitarian tiptoe going to continue? And would it be wise to just kind of leave and not subject myself to that, or not? And I was thinking, if you got one Bitcoin, which at the minute is, $100,000, you could, I reckon that would be enough to kind of, not to live off forever, but to like up sticks and resettle somewhere else. But I mean, what's the point of having Bitcoin? Like, this is what it's for, I guess, isn't it? This is part of the beauty of it, is you can literally just have it in your pocket. You can have the seed phrase in your head, and you can just go somewhere else. But then other commenters were saying, well, it's the same everywhere. So where are you going to go?
Well,
Portugal was the place.
But like, yeah. But yeah, that's it. That I think that's the thing, though, isn't it? And I think is it even in Jeff Boo's book, or there's definitely some book where they talk about that, how we just like geographically we're not going to be confined to one place anymore, and it's already happening, with like remote working and tons of jobs and stuff now that are just digitally, or you can basically live anywhere. But I think that's the thing. Like, I genuinely think some countries are going to be more, you have to have a digital ID, you have to do this and comply to whatever, whereas some countries are just not. I actually think a big advantage is just like South America and Southeast Asia, and typically like third world countries or whatever, like those sort of places. The advantage they have is that there isn't such control often.
Well,
not always. There's almost some of them is worse, but like depends where it is. But there's a lot of those sort of places. Like Costa Rica, for example. I think
there's not such a large government or a large state over there, is there?
Yeah, exactly. And I think one of the main things, with Bitcoin, especially if you want to use Bitcoin, is finding somewhere where you can actually live in a circular community with only Bitcoin. So you can go and buy food, you can buy your essential stuff only using Bitcoin. And then once you find a place like that, then you're just laughing because it doesn't really matter. And I guess, like the guy said in the comments, you stay and fight. Like, if you can set that up yourself, you were saying like you're going to speak with local
farmers
and stuff. So that's massive. Like, if you can go and buy food locally with Bitcoin, that like you're sorted. Like, what else do you need? Shelter. And so, like you say, you could just buy a caravan or whatever it is and make do with. I think you can always make do. Whereas really the main thing is water and food. If you can get water and food without having to rely on the state, then you can live anywhere.
Your connection's a little bit glitchy, by the way. Have you got anything else running in the background? You're not downloading your Node software, are you?
No, I've actually got a new internet, which is supposed to be way better, but
audio is fine. It's just video is a bit like, looks like it's filmed on a potato.
I just close these tabs.
I mean, it's not end of the world, really. We'll see if it gets better. But yeah, that was my thinking. It's something to consider, I think. We'll see. For now, though, just going to continue stacking.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing, isn't it? Is stack sats, but also being open-minded, being able to, because it's not as easy for everyone. You can't just always just up and leave. Like Jeff Booth has actually done it, hasn't he? He's moved from Canada now. I think he's in the US. So
okay.
He has done exactly that because he is seeing that in Canada. I think they just was an election or something like that, and it's not gone well. I don't think, for the sake of Bitcoin's case, but it's just being able to see something happening and then adapting. But it is like,
Well, this is the thing. Like, I mean, the idea of like, oh, let's just stay and like fight it out. It's like, well, I get that, but if you were like, if you were a Russian Christian and the Bolshevik Revolution started kicking off,
exactly.
why would? Do you know what I mean? Like, if you had the option to leave, you would leave. Or if you were like a Jew in like 1920s Germany or 1930s Germany, you were like, I can see kind of where this is going, and I've got the chance to leave. The whole thing of like, oh, let's just stay and fight. You'd be like, well, this is stupid.
Yeah, I think it like idyllically, it sort of makes sense. You want to make wherever you are better. So,
And
by stay
exactly.
and fight, I wouldn't call it fight, but like as in you want to improve. But it's the same no matter where you are. You always want to try and make wherever you are better. But I think it's just like people have changed. Like communities have changed. That culture has changed. It's not the same anymore. Like people can just sort of move.
Hang on.
And cool.
But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, some of these things when they get announced and then they never happen. Do you know what I mean? It was like the whole COVID thing was like, oh, this is it. This is what life is like. This is what reality is like.
Yeah.
Then the whole thing just got turned off and backpedaled, and then it's like, oh, actually, it's fine now.
Yeah.
So, who knows how much of these things are just bullshit to rile people up.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the crucial thing really is getting exactly like what we just said. Like if you can find local people that you can buy and sell stuff with Bitcoin, then it really doesn't matter because it's kind of beyond state's control sort of thing. Obviously they can tax it to oblivion and like do really annoying things, but there are ways around that. And I don't want to say anything like where not to pay, it should be like tax avoidance, but there are ways that people do get around taxes and everything. And also, I was sort of digging into this a bit, but I think we sort of need to speak to an actual accountant or something that understands Bitcoin. But it seems to me that a bit of a loophole might be on ramping with Lightning. So like, obviously when you move on to Lightning, that's a tax thing, but anything that happens within Lightning, I don't know if it's not black and white, it's not clear. So
I think,
but again, I don't want to say like stuff. I'm not an accountant. I don't know whether this is true or not. So
I think the taxman, if you've been KYC'd with your Bitcoin, and they see that going anywhere, including, I know you can move it to your own wallets, but if you move it to a Lightning wallet, maybe they'll class that. They'll just see it disappear. They'll class that as a disposal. And nowadays with all this kind of like AI tracking that they have, they'll probably just send you a letter and be like, "Where's this gone?" Even if you sent it to yourself. I don't know. I think they're still figuring it all out as well.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? And who knows whether this time in 5-10 years or whatever, they then come back and say, checking up all the tech, like you say, with improvements in AI and things. You just don't know, do you? So it's obviously better to just play by the rules. But
definitely,
there's so many things. There's so many things with tax, though, isn't there? Like in the US, it's different to the UK. It's like first in, first out. That FIFO, whatever it is.
What's that UK, one?
So whatever Bitcoin you bought first, is the one that you need to pay tax on first. So say you bought at like 20,000. So you bought like $500 at 20,000, and then you've bought loads more since, but it's at a higher price, over 100,000. And then you sell, and then you buy something when it's at 100,000, you have to pay that tax difference from 20 to 100. Even though you just bought some, you might have bought some at 120, and that was back at 100.
Okay.
but it doesn't matter. Like you have to pay tax on the first. Whereas in the UK, I believe it is more like an average
Okay.
of when you've bought. So it's it's just different countries have different tax rules.
Hmm.
But yeah, there's loopholes everywhere. So
Yeah. I
it's
just don't know them.
actually doing them. Yeah, it's doing them legally
There was
in
a
the
well,
state.
hopefully, maybe one day that the rules will change. Because at the minute it's just crazy. I mean, they're on about capital gains. It was reduced to I've got a friend who lives in the Netherlands, and his capital gains limit per year is something like 100,000 euros.
What?
Yeah,
What do you mean?
as in
You're not
like
allowed to
no,
have
no,
any
as
more
as
capital
as
gains
in as in he
or tax
said,
free? You mean?
yeah. Whereas in the UK it was 6,000, then it got
It's like
half to
three, isn't
three,
it? Yeah.
and now they're on about dropping it to one, which is like that's just absolutely pathetic. But I mean, if there are some countries where it's just 0% on that, then I can see a lot of if people have got a lot of Bitcoin, they're just going to flock there because
Weird. Is that
why wouldn't they?
US senator or something? Elizabeth something. I should know her name.
Is
Elizabeth
it
Warren.
Elizabeth Warren? Yeah.
And she's proposing to tax unrealized profit,
Well,
which
yeah.
is just ludicrous. Like,
That's
how
crazy. Yeah.
how are you even going to do that? Like,
I'm sure that's happened before with certain things. I mean, if they bring in that unrealized gains tax, it would be like everybody that has a house that they've made money on,
yeah,
which is most boomers. Then they're going to tax, even if they've been living in the house for 50 years, they're going to tax them on the profits they've
like
made on that house.
thousands, potentially hundreds of thousands for some people.
Yeah, or I mean, if you've got Bitcoin, if you've got stocks or shares, they're just like, well, you've not sold them yet, but we want some of that. I mean, they're going to keep doing this kind of crazy stuff because they're completely broke. The government's completely bankrupt and
I
broke.
just can't personally see that happening. If anything, I can see it going the other way, like them doing more COVID stuff of like handing more money out by just
Okay,
printing it and being like, "Oh, look, we're printing, but have
I mean
some
that's
and stay
their
quiet."
that's
Because if
their
they do
like
that sort of thing, like people are just gonna. We say that you do, like, and
yeah, you say that exactly. I mean,
crazy things happen, and
their
people don't do anything.
preferred version of tax is the covert inflation money printing tax.
Exactly.
They're like, we're just going to print money, and most people don't see this as tax, but that steals some of their purchasing power.
Because I think they know that tax really annoys people, and so
Yeah.
when they make tax worse, they know that annoys people. So it's just much better to print more and then
Yeah.
be like, "Hey, we've not increased tax." Although slowly that frog is getting boiled, and the tax is getting worse and worse everywhere.
Yeah.
Really,
I mean, at the same time, America did the whole confiscation of gold, which was what less than 100. Yeah, less than 100 years ago.
is it
Where they were just like,
34?
oh, okay, it's now illegal to hold gold. So who knows? I mean, I don't put anything past these people.
Yeah. It's just a guessing game, though, isn't it? You never really know. You don't know what's going to happen.
We'll see what happens. Yeah, there was this comment which I got. It said, no one talks enough about governments blacklisting non-KYC addresses or taxes on Bitcoin, or taxes on KYC Bitcoin. What do you know about government blacklisting non-KYC addresses? I don't even know what that means or how they would do that.
Well, exactly. That's it. I think that's the point. Is that I don't know if they really can, but as I was saying in another one of these, is that, and speaking to a couple of guys at the meetup, I think it is really hard to keep something non KYC if it's an active wallet. Like if you just buy it and stick it on some wallet that you just never use or something, then fine. But then equally, it's like, well, what's the point? I suppose if that's just there as your savings account, then no problem. But as soon as it's connected to your node, which is like connected to the Lightning network, and you actually use it as an economic node, it becomes really hard, from my understanding, to keep it completely non-KYC.
Okay.
just
Because
because it will be possible to link addresses and whatever.
so, I mean, KYC. When I first got into Bitcoin, it was just the norm. It was standard. You know what I mean? Like you sign up to Coinbase and then you give them all of your details and whatnot. But that's not always been the case, has it?
No, I don't think it like back in the day, I think it was really hard to buy Bitcoin, and so I'm guessing most of that would have probably actually been non KYC. Like websites like Bisq or whatever it is, and there's Hodl, and there's tons of those sort of platforms where it's peer to peer, and that technically is non KYC. But also mining, like if you were if you were into it in like 2011 or whatever around then, you would almost definitely be mining it, which is non KYC Bitcoin. So
yeah, and I can't see them doing anything about that because there's no link whatsoever.
Yeah,
surely
until you spend it or until you move it to an address that is linked to your, if you have.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the only thing I'm not
that
really
would
sure.
that would be kind of stupid though, I guess. Like if you've bought
eventually
like
you're gonna spend it, or well, eventually.
Yeah.
Obviously, you might just hold on to it and wait until the whole world has realized what Bitcoin is, and then by then.
But even if you spend it, let's say you've got a Bitcoin miner, one of these dudes back in the day, and they mined like 100 Bitcoin in 2010. If you were to spend that today, surely there's not going to be any link to you, unless, I mean, who knows with this whole like surveillance and tracking and tracing, unless you're buying like an Amazon gift card, or I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But I mean,
still haven't. I've never dabbled in non KYC yet.
Do you know the guy who made the BitAxe, or I can't remember? He's got. I can't think what his name is, but I met him in Bury St Edmunds, and he was doing like a talk. What is his name? Anyway, that's irrelevant. But he was saying he was mining back in 2011. When he was getting like 50 Bitcoin a pop. But really? He was like, I wish I knew what I knew now, because he was like, you just. It's the set, if you were to mine it today, sort of thing. I suppose more people know what it is now, and it's more. I think back in 2011, it was like this could literally just be nothing. So if you mined 50 Bitcoin and it was worth, I don't know, like $100 or whatever, probably at some stage around then you just sold it to make. Because you're paying like electricity, there's costs and stuff to do it. So you just sold it straight away to get, cover your costs, sort of thing.
Yeah. Or when it crashed, I think, was it 2011 when it went from like 20,000 to like 3,000, something like that?
That was 2017. So 2013, it went up to like 1,000.
Right. Okay.
So it was, I think, somewhere before that big spike, it was like $1, and it went up to about 1,000. Like 1,000x,
and then it crashed. Then it crashed again.
Yeah, down to like.
And I think a lot of people would have jumped ship then, because it would have been the first kind of crash.
Exactly, and then especially if you held it before that, when it was really low, and then it's gone all the way up and it's come down, you're like, oh, I may as well just sell now, and at least I've got some profit. And it's the same mentality. Like it just goes round and right. It's just literally a cycle, the same cycle every 4 years. But like I said, I think now more people understand it, and I think because there has been better regulation, particularly in the US, and more supportive stuff for it, I feel like people are like, no, this is staying around now. This is not going anywhere.
Yeah,
it's just the infrastructure that's been built with it as well. Yeah. It's crazy, the amount of miners and stuff around the world, and like the actual electrification and all of that side of things.
This idea of regulation, though, it's like people are like, yay, regulation with Bitcoin, but it's like isn't Bitcoin meant to be fighting that system that's regulating Bitcoin? How is that a good thing? Do you know, that's one thing I don't quite get.
And a lot of diehard Bitcoiners will say, we don't need the government. It's completely not needed. This guy that I've been messaging a bit with, like the technician from the video, he's very much of the belief, like, I don't care if they make it illegal. Like, it's a permissionless network.
Yeah.
Like, they can go and F themselves, sort of thing. Like, it makes no difference to me whether that happens. And supposed there actually is already like CSAM on Bitcoin anyway. It already exists, and there's another guy that was in the comments that was telling me about all these different legal situations. So legal cases, the United States versus Kuczynski, United States versus Rom, United States versus Dobbs, Atkins versus DPP, and R.V. Porter. Basically, the bottom line of all of this is it was this Ninth Circuit's Kuczynski case, which basically ruled that cache files without user knowledge don't constitute possession. Okay. Similar to UK cases.
Are you on about Kaczynski, the Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski?
Yeah. Well, no.
Interesting.
Is that Kaczynski?
Yeah, Kaczynski.
No.
No, different one.
Kuczynski.
Kuczynski. Okay.
No, this was to do with like CSAM, I think.
Yes. Okay. Gotcha.
But the point is that files that were like cached on his computer, or whatever, because he wasn't aware of the possession of them, that basically saved him, sort of thing.
Okay.
In the court. But I mean, you can then argue, if you do know that and you run a node, then is that bad? Like, but it requires like awareness and accessibility. So, and accessibility was the other thing as well.
Yeah.
Like, to actually be able to
access intent as well, I guess.
Yeah. So I think that's what a lot of these cases kind of prove. So, and while illegal content does exist on the Bitcoin blockchain, no node operators have been prosecuted solely for running nodes. Obviously, that doesn't mean that never will happen, but the legal protections from cache file cases likely apply to Bitcoin nodes, since the storage is automatic, passive, and difficult to access. So it doesn't mean
do you know
no
much
one knows.
About? Yeah,
that's the thing.
Do you know much about Tor?
So I was digging into this recently, but yeah, again, not a huge amount. Do you?
Yeah, me neither. But I was reading the other day that there was a Tor node operator that got like arrested. She was running this Tor node.
So that's like to do with like Signal and all these different messaging services, isn't it? Like Telegram and.
Yeah, I don't fully understand it, but it's basically like an anonymous dark web kind of relay node. But the people online were kind of criticizing it because they were saying, well, he's not actually hosting anything. He's just running a node. He doesn't know what's going through it. He's not hosting anything. But then, the Fed still came and did it. But then also the other people are saying, well, this guy actually was a bit dodgy. He was doing other stuff with it rather than just hosting a node kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that brings me on to the rest of this comment. Basically said, what do you think of the possibilities of making self-custody or node running illegal? I mean, start with self-custody. Possibilities of making self-custody illegal. How would that even be possible?
And again, this is another court case of, I can't remember this one, but it's basically like code is free speech. So as long as there's somewhere in the world that has the First Amendment or something similar, then
it's like property rights.
Exactly. They can't ban Bitcoin ownership. So again, that might be a reason why Jeff Booth has moved to like the USA or something, because he knows he's got the First Amendment and a relatively pro Bitcoin, although they think crypto is the same thing as Bitcoin. They clearly don't actually understand what it is. But I think that's the thing, is like, if you can be somewhere where they promote free speech, then it will be very hard to actually ban it.
Yeah, wasn't that a thing in the 90s with Adam Back? Because he had some kind of open source software or code that he put out, and they said it was like a terrorist threat. And then they went around printing T-shirts with the code on it. And it was. Let me try and find this thing. Did you ever hear about that?
Hashgraph, was it Hashgraph? That Adam Back did?
It wasn't.
With the email
it wasn't Hashcash. It was
Hashcash,
another project he was working on. That they tried to shut down under some kind of like law, saying it was like a weapon or some kind of terrorist thing. And then they basically took the piss. They were like, and he started printing T-shirts with the code, the open source code printed on the back of the T-shirt, and it saying like, this, according to the FBI, this T-shirt is a weapon or whatever. Let me try and find this.
That's good.
Yeah, it was a munitions. Let's see if I can. I've got the T-shirt here. Hang on. Okay, so Adam Back is known for the RSA, also called Munitions T-shirt, which he designed in 1995 as a protest against the US government classifying the RSA encryption algorithm as munitions. The shirt features munitions on the front, and the text, the US Department of State classifies the RSA encryption code as munitions. Wearing it is illegal in the United States on the back. The design was a statement of defiance against the export restrictions placed on strong cryptography, and you can still find versions of the shirt online. I'll show it you. I'll share screen. Can you see that?
Yeah.
So this code basically was classified as a weapon, because obviously like the NSA or whoever didn't like that people could use this open source encryption.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very hard in most countries to actually ban self-custody or anything like that, just for these exact reasons. These same things will come out, and people will be able to... And there's just so many people that are like heavily into it now that they're not just going to go, all right, and then here it is. Like, I don't think that's just not going to happen. But there will be countries that it does happen, or they'll try and do it 100%. If many countries have banned it, and so, but it doesn't mean anything really. Like there'll be loads of people that can own it, hold it, pay with it in countries where it is banned. So there's always ways around it. And in the grand scheme
of things, it's not on a global scale. It's not going to do much. This is like going to the other part of the question. Do you think they'll ban running a node? Well, it's like when China banned Bitcoin mining. The hash rate took a bit of a dip, but globally, it didn't really affect Bitcoin.
It's almost great when the hash rate takes a dip. Node's not the same thing, but like when miners get affected, then it's great because it means like home mining becomes possible because it's cheaper to do, and so that decentralizes Bitcoin more, which then increases the hash rate.
So then more miners will be incentivized. Exactly, yeah.
Obviously, a node is not the same thing, but again, I just think with those exact legal cases that I was just saying about, all those ones that were, United States versus Kuczynski, United States versus Rom, Dobbs, Atkins v DPP, which is UK, and R v Porter, all of these were very, very similar cases where it's that whole like awareness and accessibility thing. So because it's not actively being used by node runners, I think they're going to have a hard time banning it. Again, I wouldn't put it past them. But this is a big part of the whole Core 30, and everyone was freaking out about. I was like, I genuinely was like,
Yeah.
why is no one like going on about this? You know, like on podcasts and things, and everyone just seems to bypass this topic. But the more I've understood about it, it's like, okay, maybe this is literally just making a big deal out of something that's not such a big deal. Again, like I think if you've got other issues with core or whatever it is, then that's completely separate thing. Whereas everyone's been making it seem like core 30 is the reason why you need to run knots or something. Whereas I don't think that's the case. Like but if you prefer the filters that knots has, fine, like run knots. But and that is, yeah, I probably will run knots just because of their filters. Like I think they're more in line with how I see Bitcoin. So that makes sense. But this is nothing to do with core 30, and everyone's making it seem like it's this core 30 upgrade that is going to kill Bitcoin because CSAM is going to flood the network and stuff. But yeah, it's just how I see it at the minute anyway.
Yeah, I mean, even if there's like a mining ban in the country, or a node running ban, or a complete ban, this is the whole game theory. Which is it? Jeff Booth goes on about game theory, or somebody
Quite a
goes
few
on
people
about it.
do.
But it'd be like, okay, if one country starts to really crack down on Bitcoin and demonize it, another country will probably think, oh, okay, well, it's going to be good for us to incentivize them to come to us. Like, what
Exactly.
was the thing that Russia did recently? I think it was only earlier in the year. Russia basically said, "Oh, we'll take any European like not refugees, but like we'll take any European expats. If you're sick of the whole Western state of things, you're welcome to come to Russia." So it's like as the pressure goes down on one country, another country says,
Exactly.
"Okay, well we can benefit from this. We'll have those extra economic migrants and expats." So it's almost like that whole whack-a-mole thing. As you whack
Yeah.
one thing down, another opportunity is going to arise. Surely, like as you push in one direction, there's going to be a reaction in the other direction as well.
And it's just so much easier these days to do that, to just geographically move. Whereas even 30, 40 years ago, like maybe not even that, it was nowhere near as easy.
Yeah.
I think just being on that like whole expat circuit and just seeing so many people come and go when I was like in the years I was in Qatar for, it was just like, it was eye opening, like how many people just do this. They just move around. They just go to like, they go and work here for a couple of years, and they move to this country, work here for a couple of years. And that's what I was saying earlier as well about that whole like community and stuff, that it doesn't exist in the same way anymore. It's different. And probably money is a big part of that. Money's kind of broken that community aspect because people have had to move for jobs. You know, you have to move to the city to get a job or something because they have to work, sort of thing. You know, or you have to go where the money is. Whereas,
Or because the office was there, they had to commute, but now you can do it a
yeah,
lot more remotely.
yeah, and COVID was
Yeah.
another big shift on that, of people working from home and working remotely. But yeah, I think that is the exact thing, is that the world is smaller than what it used to be, really, because of how easy travel is. But equally, I know it's not always possible for people to just up and leave. There's other things to think about.
Yeah, I mean, with this whole freedom tech and all that stuff that I've been looking into, this with this digital ID, it was like, oh well, I'll just never use the internet ever again then if I need the digital ID. It's like, but that there will probably be a tool, like a workaround, like what Adam Back made in the 90s, where there'll be some kind of tool made by the people that will allow people to still get on, whether it be VPN or whatever. I
Yeah,
mean, even like BitChat now. Like, have you
yeah,
played with BitChat at all?
yeah, yeah.
So
Exactly.
it's like,
That's
all
just
right,
what I was going to
well,
say.
I've got no internet, I've got no nothing, but you can still use it on a completely different protocol using Bluetooth instead. I mean, it's not that good. I've still never run into anybody in the wild, and I turn it on quite a lot that's using BitChat, but it's the option is there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm sure I was reading the other day that somebody managed to send Bitcoin over AM radio waves. Have you ever heard about this one?
I think it's possible just with pen and paper. I'm sure I've heard that before. I don't know how, but like, surely it can't. I don't understand how that can possibly be.
Pen and paper? What?
Yeah.
What? You just hand your private key over to somebody, or what?
Yeah. Well, does that count? I don't know.
There was something that somebody said. Well, one way of transferring Bitcoin to somebody is just literally giving them your giving them your hardware wallet and password. Like, there you go, this is yours now.
That's true.
Yeah. So hang on, I've just got ChatGPT up now.
Make I'm sure it's possible to make UTXOs where they sort of like a certain amount can exist on, but I don't know how you would hand that over because I don't know, but there has to be ways. So
basically it is possible to send Bitcoin using different radio tech, ham radio, LoRa mesh, satellite, and even lightning over RF. So ham and shortwave experiments, 2016 to 2019, cypherpunks and ham operators have transmitted raw transaction data or text encoded transactions over shortwave using tools like JS8 call or other digital modes. A transaction is encoded as text sent over the air, and a receiving ham with internet access can then broadcast it to the Bitcoin network. Wired and several Bitcoin outlets covered these experiments. So I guess you still need the internet, but you just transfer it to somebody that has the internet to do the thing. And then Blockstream satellite. So people have combined Blockstream's satellite feed for receiving block data offline with local radio mesh devices to enable offline regions to get blockchain data and relay transactions to an exit node. There are GitHub projects and demos exploring this. So yeah, I mean, let's say that somebody was locked out of the internet. There's going to be a black market which will pop up of people doing this. Like there'll be somebody online that will say, okay, I'm now offering a service. If you haven't got access to the internet, for whatever reason, like you're living in the woods in the middle of nowhere and you haven't signed up to the digital ID or whatever, living in the brave new world in 2050, my service to you on the black market is to validate your transactions over my radio wave thing or whatever.
That's crazy.
So yeah, it says you usually still need an exit to the internet. Most radio methods send the transaction to someone or a mesh who does have the internet and can broadcast the transaction to the Bitcoin network. Completely peer-to-peer, end-to-end over radio without any internet gateway is possible in a full mesh that reaches a broadcaster, but a totally isolated radio island cannot update the global blockchain. It also says amateur ham radios typically forbid encryption. Encoded transaction payloads can run into regulatory legal issues depending on mode, jurisdiction, and whether you're on amateur bands. Always check licensing. And also, radio broadcast is public. Anyone can hear the payload. For spend privacy or key security, you must use careful signing workflows. Air-gapped signing plus radio broadcast is a common pattern. Crazy. That's something to look into.
It is mad. Yeah, I was just saying, it is possible to send it with pen and paper, but again, someone needs access to the internet. No, someone needs access.
So
to
how do you do that?
It's mad.
How do you send it with pen and paper?
I mean, it again goes pretty deep, but it says you just write down the transaction details, so the recipient's Bitcoin address, the amount to send, your address, where the Bitcoin is coming from, and the UTXO details, so that unspent transaction outputs, basically proof that you have the Bitcoin. Then you need to create and sign the transaction manually. So this is the hard part, and you need to format it correctly according to Bitcoin's protocol. Apparently this takes days. So no one's really going to do this, but I think probably someone's proved the point by doing this in the past, which is what I heard about. and then you calculate cryptographic hashes, so the SHA-256 by hand. Extremely tedious, but theoretically possible, apparently. Sign it with your private key using elliptical curve cryptography, which is that ECDSA. That's basically what is, when everyone says about quantum computing, that is what quantum computing is likely to be able to break much quicker, or much sooner, far sooner than SHA-256, because apparently then it will be able to see your public address and reverse engineer it to find your private address, which at the moment it's still nowhere near capable of doing this, but it's closer than SHA-256. But again, if you hold your Bitcoin on a cold storage, every time that you send Bitcoin, it uses a new public address. So basically, you should be safe. Most cold storage devices will do that automatically. So if you're holding it on an exchange, or you use the same public address consistently, then that Bitcoin could theoretically be taken by quantum computing. Anyway, I got sidetracked. But you do that by hand, which is incredibly complex, and then someone with internet access can type your handwritten transaction into a node and broadcast it to the network. So
interesting. Okay.
It can be extremely error prone. Yeah. And it supposedly would take many hours or days to do.
I did find that video of that guy that tried to mine Bitcoin with a pen and paper. Have you seen that one?
No.
He's trying to figure out the SHA-256 by hand.
No way.
Let's see if we can share a screen on this one.
Well, he's just manually writing it out, and then and then what? But obviously, types it in, or how would he know if he finds it if he's just doing it by hand?
Can you see that?
Yeah.
See if the audio works. I don't know if it will.
Today I'm going to mine Bitcoin. The only rule, no computers allowed, which means I'm going to have to use a pencil and paper. I can already tell this is going to hurt my brain.
If you don't know what Bitcoin mining is, basically you take a number and transform it using a function called SHA-256. That's a nice hash, boy. Then you check to see if the result falls beneath the target value set by the network, which means I need to start generating hashes. First, I chose a phrase that would serve as our hashing seed. Then I converted it to binary. Then to pre-process, you append a 1 in a length of the original message, then fill it with zeros until it's a multiple of 512. Then you create what's called a message schedule, which is an array that is 64 items long where each item is 32 bits. Next, we iterate through a rotation function starting at the 16th item going until the last item in the array. Next, we stand up our 8 constants, each containing 32 bits. We'll then transform these constants until we've created our final hash. But will our hash value fall below the current block target? Let's find out.
Today I'm going to mine Bitcoin. The only rule, no computers allowed.
Wait, how did he do that bit at the end? How did he find out whether... Did he need a computer?
I don't know. Let's have a look.
Surely you need to actually use a computer to figure it out. Like, you can't...
Who knows? I mean, I didn't get any of that, to be fair.
Did you not?
I didn't get any of that, to be fair. No.
That actually made quite a lot of sense.
What? That's crazy.
It was the...
I mean, that's obviously like the guy, he's doing like 1 computation per minute. Whereas, like, what do Bitcoin miners do? Like a trillion a second?
It would take more than a minute
billion a
for him
second
to do that. But yeah, it was like trillion. I think it's trillions a second now. Is the amount of guesses that they have. So yeah, he's got like
mental. So basically,
0% chance.
It's not an option.
Nope. Yeah, so like even with that Bitax, I think it's like, what is it, 170 years or something?
1 in 170 years, yeah.
So that's going to be far quicker than doing it with handwritten. I imagine it'd be like 1 in 5 billion years or something.
Let's see.
But it's always possible.
Ask ChatGPT.
It's like you've got to play to win, isn't it? It's like literally like the lottery. I think I saw the other day that 5 solo miners have found a block so far this year.
Yeah, I've been following that kind of stuff. I mean, I was thinking the other day, I was like, at the minute, we've got 2 years before the block reward halves. So there's never ever going to be another time where we can get 3.125 Bitcoin for, mining a block, even if it is a 1 in 170 year chance.
Yeah.
I was thinking, why am I not solo mining at home?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And it literally costs, apparently it costs less than your TV on standby in electricity. So
really? Yeah, I heard
exactly
it was something
like
it's like it's 140 watt, which is basically like 1.5 or 2 light bulbs. But the way I see it is, you can mine in a pool, and you might get a few sats. You might get 500 or 600 sats a day. But if you're going to go for it, just go for it. Like, why not solo mine?
Yeah,
because you've got 2 years
what miner
before.
It is, but if it's with a Bitax, I think you would get less sats than that. What was 600 sats at the minute? Thousands of dollars, isn't it? Yeah, no, I think it would be less than
it's
that.
about 50p a day or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's pennies a month is what I worked out.
Really?
But yeah, I'm not sure if that's.
I thought
accurate.
with the one I was looking at, which was the Canaan Avalon Nano S, which is 6 terahash.
Like,
6 terahash.
You could make money.
I think it was about 15 quid a month. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas I think the Bitax
but still,
is
like, you could
less.
do that, but you're never going to have the chance to solo mine 3 Bitcoin again. So, if I was to get one, I'd just go for it. Why not?
It's very true.
It is a lottery, as you say, but why not? I'm just looking into.
Also, it's probably going to be the lowest hash rate ever right now. That it will ever be again.
Yeah.
Well, it's likely if it follows the same trajectory it's currently on.
Exactly. Well, it's like highest. It's currently the highest it's ever been.
It's the highest it's ever been, but it's also likely to be the lowest it'll ever be in the future. So
exactly, yeah. So it's the highest reward that it's ever going to be. Again, because it's never going to go back to 3 in 2 years' time.
And the easiest it will ever be.
And it's exactly. So I'm selling it to myself here. Yeah. So I've just asked ChatGPT what other ways are there to send Bitcoin without the internet. This seems quite complicated, but one says sneakernet by moving the key, transfer custody physically. So instead of signing and broadcasting, you can transfer the private key or hardware wallet physically to another person or location. That person can then broadcast or spend their coins. So that's basically just handing your wallet over to somebody else, like by hand.
Yeah.
Which I guess, that's one way of doing it. It says Mesh, LoRa, Gotenna, local radio hop networks use long-range mesh radios, consumer mesh devices, or Bluetooth devices to relay a signed transaction across nodes until it reaches a node that has internet access or a gateway that will broadcast for the mesh. Projects and wallets integrations exists. These systems transmit transaction data, raw transaction, over local wireless hops. Is this what we were on about earlier? The BitChat. Is that what BitChat uses, do you reckon?
Yeah. Yeah.
Amateur radio, shortwave, satellite.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, all of these seem... So you can send it over SMS, basically a text message. There are services and experiments that encode signed transactions into SMS strings so they can be sent from feature phones to a gateway which broadcasts them. This works where basic cellular text is available but data is not. It's been prototyped and written about and sometimes used in constrained areas. Pros, it works on very basic phones. Cons, gateway trust. The SMS gateway broadcast is a single point of failure. Message length limits and privacy leakage. Interesting. Yeah, it doesn't sound that safe, that one, but possible, I guess.
Mm.
You won't want to send much over doing it that way.
It's very true.
Air-gapped signing plus sneaking it. Create the unsigned transaction on an online device. Export it. Move it to an air-gapped hardware wallet or an offline computer via USB, micro SD, or QR. Sign it offline, then carry the signed transaction physically via USB or SD to any internet-connected machine and broadcast it. This is the most common secure offline workflow. Use PSBT standards and a reputable hardware signer. Cold card. Yeah, this is the Siege signer, isn't it?
Yeah, basically.
I've still not managed to get my head around those Siege signers. You know how they work.
Yeah, they do sound really clever. I think the reason I really went for the cold card is just because I'm lazy, and I think you have to plug in your private key. Is that the word? every time you sign into it. But I think you can create a QR code. So do you remember at the meetup, the guy showing us like you can manually create a QR code, so it will come up like on the seed signer, and then you have to like manually copy it over, and then but once you've done it once, then you just literally scan the QR code and that's it. But it's really important you don't ever put that QR code. Same as like your private key, you don't want to put that anywhere.
Right, the QR code is your private key.
Yeah, so that is the same thing as those 12 words, 24 words, or whatever.
Interesting. So have you set up a cold card?
No, that'll be next week.
That sounds interesting. Yeah, that seems like some elite level way of doing it.
Yeah, I think it's very similar to a C signer, but the difference is then it's just easier to log in, basically. You don't have to manually put in that thing. But I suppose once you've done the QR code once, that's it. It's just a one-time effort thing. But I think there's a lot more you can do with it as well. So really, I've just gone through a patch where it's like I just really want to learn so much more about it. So I figured getting those sort of things will help me to learn, and then does the job as well at the same time. So
exactly. Cool. We've been chatting for an hour. That doesn't seem like an hour, is it?
I know. Yeah.
Should we sign this one off and then do a book one?
Yeah, let's do that.
Do the double whammy.
Double whammy.
The double whammy. Right then, call it a day for this one. See you later.
Bye.